and welcome to Wrestling at Random. I'm Jeremy Deemer.
And I am Adam Summers, and you are in Season 6 of Wrestling at Random, where the theme is more wrestling than ever, somehow more wrestling than the more wrestling than ever we had in Season 5. That has taken multiple forms throughout the season. We've had some very mainstream stuff. We've had some really far off the beaten path stuff, I would say, more than any other previous season because of all that additional wrestling, some from the dark web itself being dumped into the randomizer. Here this week, we revisit Ring of Honor. I know like 10 years ago as we record this is 2015, but still it's wild to me that something from 2012 is eligible for this podcast, considering we started in 2020 with the idea of things had to be at least 10 years or older. Things from 2012 shouldn't be classic. They shouldn't be on a retro wrestling podcast, but that is the case here. So we have an episode of Ring of Honor Television from June of 2012.
How the show works is we take all that wrestling content you mentioned, we fire up the randomizer, it picks something for us to watch at random. Could be any territory, any time, any show, anything, and we watch it and we review it here. Like you mentioned, it picked an episode of Ring of Honor Television, episode 37 to be specific. The air date of this show was June 2nd, 2012. It's available on YouTube as of the time of this recording. The show opens with highlights from the Border Wars show, which took place May 12th. We see a lot of the Kevin Steen versus Davey Richards match, with Steen winning the match and winning the ROH World title.
He throws Davey into the exposed second turnbuckle, hits the package pile driver, and wins the Ring of Honor World title. Kerry Silken comes into the ring, as is customary for him to present the new champion with the championship belt, but he won't do it. He won't give Kerry Silken the belt, or he won't give Kevin Steen the belt like he's done with every other champion. The story of the Kevin Steen character at this point, to the best of my recollection and reconstruction here as we watch this, is that he was basically Steve Austin. The idea that like the company hated him, the promotion hated him, he caused nothing but problems for all the higher ups, but the fans loved him. So that was the deal here. He's the world champion. Your announced team is Kevin Kelly, Nigel McGuinness. They are in the ring, and they say, for some, it is the best news possible. For some of us, it is the worst news imaginable. Kevin Steen is the world champion.
Yeah, Kevin Steen, he was the anti-Ring of Honor figure here, like you mentioned, in the vein of Steve Austin. He feuded with Ring of Honor officials such as Jim Cornette. He wanted to push the company's boundaries with ultra-violent matches and extreme promos. He was the anti-hero that the fans loved, even though he was full heel for everything else here.
Well, and the Cornette feud was based off of the real life issues that they had when Cornette first came into Ring of Honor, that like Cornette did not see Steen and Generico as top guys in the type of company that he wanted to run, which is hilarious because you think of what both of those guys went on to do in WWE, particularly Kevin Steen, without changing his look or character at all. Like, that's the thing that stands out the most to me when we see Kevin Steen here, is other than him being Kevin Owens, he is literally the exact same guy, the exact same character, the exact same wrestler, other than in WWE. They didn't let him do the package pile driver for so long, and it 100% translated over.
Kevin Steen signed with the WWE on August 12th of 2014, so 2 years after the show that we're watching here. He was assigned to the NXT brand for developmental, where he debuted under the name Kevin Owens, which was a tribute to his son Owen. His in-ring debut was at the NXT TakeOver Revolution show on December 11th, 2014, where he defeated CJ Parker, The
The
future
future
Juice
Juice.
Robinson.
Exactly. The idea that Juice, wasn't it like he was like a crazy environmentalist? Wasn't
Yeah,
that
like
Juice
a yeah.
gimmick? Like
It
an
was
eco-terrorist or something?
horrible. So we're still 2 years away from him signing at this point. This week's TV show is from the DuBarnes Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness are your commentary team, a future peek into Collision's future here for AEW.
It is a peek into a brief future of Collision for AEW. My takeaway from this show with commentary, I'll just get out of the way. Like, I love Nigel McGuinness on Collision. I think he's the best regular color commentator on an American wrestling TV show in many, many years. The only guy I would say was better in recent years, granted it was an American wrestling TV show, but Don Callis with Kevin Kelly on commentary for New Japan.
Nigel was great. Nigel was great in NXT as well. I don't know if you ended up seeing any of that.
I thought he was good in NXT. I thought he really leaned so heavily into all the WWE announcer tropes and WWE words. So that took me out of a little bit, but he was good there. He is awful on this show. I thought he was terrible.
Definitely immature in his capabilities at this point.
Yes, you could see how he could get good.
Yes.
But he is not there yet. And it's a credit to him because I'm of the opinion that often, while there are marginal improvements, you can tell almost immediately whether someone on commentary as a color commentator, an ex-wrestler, has it or not. The example I always go with is Paul White. They put him on color on dark. They tried him in a bunch of different roles for years, and he never, ever got good. Then there are some people where they're a wrestler. They'll throw him on to do guest commentary, and you're like, oh, my God, this guy could jump in and be one of the best color commentators in the business immediately. I think of when AEW would have CM Punk do color commentary early on in his AEW run sometimes. Like, Jesus Christ. This guy would be the best color guy in the business right now. Nigel's the rare guy that actually got much, much better as time went along with reps.
Kevin tells us that the worst has happened. Kevin Steen is the new Ring of Honor champion. Jim Cornette will make a decision on who will face Steen for the title at the next show. In the back, a young Adam Cole is cutting a promo where he's going to beat Mike Mondo and continue his rise.
A very, very young Adam Cole. He looks 30 years younger than he does now, and this is 13 years ago as we record this. It's also noteworthy to me when we see Adam Cole get in the ring in a moment, how much like he modeled like his haircut, his facial hair, his body after like 2002, 2003 CM Punk.
His opponent is going to be Mike Mondo, and Mike Mondo says, I'm going to smash your face in. It's gut check time.
Mike Mondo.
I'm sorry, no fear, Mike Mondo.
No rest, no mercy, no fear, he says backstage. He's calling Cole a pretty boy, and yet he has half of his hair dyed black, the other half dyed blonde, so not exactly looking like a tough guy. His character is that he challenges himself to never wrestle the same way twice, to throw his opponents off, and yet he has the most basic OVW offense you've ever seen. Kevin Kelly is raving about how amazing Mike Mondo is in this match, and all I can think of is, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years later, having to listen to every tour Kevin Kelly hype up Chase Owens in New Japan, and how Chase Owens has turned the corner and he's ready to be a main eventer. Kevin Kelly loved hyping up his boys, his friends, and man, more often than not, those guys just did not have it. Like, he is very good on this show. He is borderline great at calling this action, but man, some of the guys that he hypes up, they just aren't there.
No, we get a tail of the tape And Kevin Kelly screams that Adam Cole is the youth and the height not usually said about Adam Cole as we get the tail of the tape. Cole is 22 years old, 5'11" and 195 pounds. Mondo is 28, 5'7" and 212. You never think of Cole as a tall guy. I don't think of him as 5'11".
No, and it's funny because they tried to make it out like Mike Mondo's this big power guy, and he is literally the exact same size as Adam Cole, who is bigger than you would think of him as now. Like, he has huge legs. Like, his upper body is not that big, but he has huge legs. He does not look as like almost distractingly small as he does in modern times.
We get a handshake. The code of honor is met, and here we go. We got Kyle O'Reilly on commentary for the match. Grappling early. Cole's out wrestling Mondo. Cole ends up doing a tope crossbody, and Owen Hart, he is not here.
No, definitely not.
We get Kevin Kelly saying, Mike Mondo is amazing.
Yes,
dial it down, Kevin. Dial it down.
Literally what I just referenced with him freaking out about Mike Mondo of all people. His big different thing that he does in this match is that he puts Adam Cole's hand through the turnbuckle pad and stomps it. Not exactly Chris Canyon levels of innovation.
No, Mike Mondo at one point does the move that's now famous from Stephanie Vacker, where you have the head scissors and you're ramming the opponent's face into the mat with it.
I wonder if Booker T would be into this version of it.
Cole gets him down, hits the running knee. He goes to the top, hits a cross body for a long 2 count. Cole missed an enziguri, and Mondo hits the curb stomp. He goes for his double arm DDT, but Cole reverses into a backslide, and Adam Cole gets the pin.
I don't understand this match at all. Mike Mondo had 90% of the offense, while Adam Cole is being set up for a future title shot. Very strange. It's basically like Mondo's the star, slips on a banana peel, Cole gets the backslide win. The match was fine, but to me, nothing about this made me think, oh man, Adam Cole, I can't wait to see him get a TV title shot.
Nick Westgate versus the dominant male Tommaso Ciampa, accompanied by his manager Prince Nana in a pairing I didn't know ever happened, and someone named Princess Leia, who I don't know who that is.
And the barrister R.D. Evans. Is it R.D. Evans of WrestleCrap?
No, that's R.D. Reynolds.
R.D. Reynolds. Okay, so I was like, wait. R.D. Evans, though. So yeah, this is quite the crew. It's so weird to see like post Jimmy Rave Embassy Prince Nana, and then just the long period of time where he disappeared, and then now he's just a key part of one of the biggest acts in AEW with Swerve Strickland. Nick Westgate, though, what a man this is. We don't have, once you get into the 2010s, even into the 2000s, you don't have, one of our favorite things in pro wrestling from times gone by, which was just the pathetic, unathletic, non-star looking enhancement talent. Nick Westgate gets pretty close. He's wearing like a poor man's version of 2003 AJ Styles gear. And physically, he looks like every nondescript guy in a scramble match on an Evolve show. He's short. He has extremely short arms and extremely short legs. And he certainly looks like a guy who is not going to win a match, which is what I always want to see in these situations. His opponent is the dominant male, the suicidal psychopath, Tommaso Ciampa, who I've never been as high on as other people have been. I like him more than how am I drawing a blank? It's too late at night. His tag team partner who he feuded with, we saw them fight each other, I think.
Johnny Gargano.
Johnny Gargano. So forgettable that I just forget his name. I like him better than Gargano, but not a fan, particularly this era. He's got this weird dyed blonde hair. He has terrible, like silver shimmery bicycle shorts. no knee pads or elbow pads. This is not the best look this man has ever had.
Apparently, at the Border Wars show, he lost his undefeated streak. He lost it to Jay Lethal. So, Tommaso Ciampa versus Jay Lethal was on that show. This was a quick squash. Ciampa knocks him out quick with a knee strike to the face that was actually pretty awesome. Then he starts throwing elbow strikes to the downed opponent and wins by ref stoppage. They end up all having to fight to try to pull Ciampa off this man.
Yeah, Kevin Kelly is yelling as we go to commercial about there may be something brewing with the embassy and the House of Truth. My God, it's 2012 by this point, and they still have Truth Martini and the House of Truth. We complained in one of those taping I was actually at, like the first Sinclair taping in the House of Truth was all over that. Maybe the worst manager I've ever seen in my life. Truth Martini, and he is still involved here.
Brutal. Thank God we didn't get any Truth Martini on this show.
Yes, I feel like that was the randomizer doing us a solid. We heard about him, but we did not have to hear his voice or see him with that stupid book.
We get a segment called Inside ROH with Kevin Kelly, where we get a Border War recap. The Briscoes lost the tag team titles to the world's greatest tag team, which is Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. Shelton cuts a promo on the All Night Express, saying the All Night Express was always a lame team. No lies detected, Shelton. You nailed it.
Shelton is playing the role of Jesse Ventura in early 90s WCW, or he's just saying the truth. He is the voice of the fans. I howled when he said this. I love, by the way, everything about this Inside Ring of Honor segment. This is the Ring of Honor TV version of WCW Magazine with Eric Bischoff in 1993, or the WWF Control Center with Gene Okerlund. I love these TV magazine segments. It gets you up to date on everything. It's in more of an organized way. It also takes away the awkwardness of like when you're watching a modern TV show and you have a crazy beatdown, and then the announcers will be like, just awkward. Oh, let's go to a back for an interview with this comedy wrestler. Like instead, you have that all encompassed in this 3 or 4 minute segment. A much more effective way of doing this sort of thing.
Jay Lethal wants a TV title shot against Roddy Strong. And then we see clips of Fit Finlay losing to Roderick Strong. Fit Finlay was in 2012 Ring of Honor?
What this told me was how much I had drifted from Ring of Honor by 2012, because I have zero recollection of Fit Finlay wrestling professionally in Ring of Honor in 2012. So he wrestled Roderick Strong and lost. And then he is going to be wrestling Michael Elgin at a show called Best in the World Hostage Crisis. What is happening?
Yeah, he cuts a promo on Elgin, and all I can think is, man, I love Fit Finlay. He was so great.
This promo was great, too.
Eddie Edwards beat Rhino, and he will now face Homicide in New York next week on TV. He will face Homicide in New York, and the next week on TV, it's going to be Richards versus Edwards 4.
Which I believe we saw Richards versus Edwards main eventing one of the early Ring of Honor Sinclair shows. It may have actually been the very first or very second episode on Sinclair. This is part of the Die Hard Challenge series where Eddie Edwards has convinced himself, I guess, that if he beats former world champions like former ECW world champion Rhino, former Ring of Honor world champion Homicide, and former Ring of Honor world champion Davey Richards, this will force Ring of Honor to give him a title shot. I enjoyed this era of Eddie Edwards, particularly him as a tag team wrestler, but man, Eddie Edwards is one of those guys who you don't mind having on your roster, but if he is challenging for your world title, it just screams, boy, we've fallen at least a little bit. I mean, he was the GHC heavyweight champion in Pro Wrestling Noah, I believe, in 2009, and it certainly had that vibe. To me, it had that vibe here in Ring of Honor. In Impact Wrestling when he was wrestling for the world title. There's just some guys that aren't world title material, unfortunately. And like I always say, that's fine. Not everybody has to be world champion, but when those guys are in the scene, it kind of drags everything else down.
Yeah, definitely is. I mean, he's a good. He could be in a good tag team.
Yes,
he can be fighting for your TV title. But yeah,
exactly.
We'll talk about it later. But yeah, what a drop off when you see him trying to be in the main event scene. It's just, I'm looking at a roster and I can think of 3 or 4 other guys I'd put in that spot before him.
He is at most the guy that gets a world title shot on TV. As sort of a let's get the world champion on TV defending his title, but no one thinks he's going to win. He is not a guy you actually build to as a challenger on a big show or, God forbid, being a champion.
We're halfway through the show. We're going to the ring for the main event of the TV show. They're apparently delaying the Steen and Cornette segments because there's an impromptu conversation going on in the back.
Last-minute negotiations, which means your TV main event here for Ring of Honor. And let's be clear, this is not a B show. This is not a C show. This was the only hour of television they had across the airwaves each and every week. It is the team of Cedric Alexander and Caprice Coleman, future Ring of Honor color commentator for many years, including present day with Ian Riccaboni, taking on the All Night Express of Kenny King and Rhett Titus, who never were good, never will be good.
No.
And I just talked about Eddie Edwards being a guy that in the world title scene is a symbol of your world title scene is not what it once was or is not what it should be if you're trying to come across as major league. And my goodness, the All Night Express are the living, breathing tag team representation of that same idea.
We will always hate Kenny King for what he did to us in New York City.
I take it personally. I've been aggrieved.
We should. Absolutely, we should.
I've been aggrieved by friends. You know, we've all been aggrieved by people we're in relationships with and broke up with. I've been aggrieved by family. I don't know that I've ever been aggrieved by anyone as much as I was by Kenny King when in one of the greatest moments of live wrestling history for both you and I, as we are just 11 rows from ringside, Madison Square Garden.
Friend of the show, is there with us as well.
Mike
living
is there.
This moment.
Dennis Gorman is there. A bunch of our friends are there. Jushin Liger is in the ring. The Great Muda's music hits. Some big surprise. The Great Muda is in the ring. There are no other wrestlers in the ring. We get a stand-up. We are going to get to see in 2019 in Madison Square Garden, the Great Muda and Jushin Thunder Liger go at it in the middle of a Royal Rumble style battle royal when what happens? Kenny King, who had not been eliminated but was chilling outside of the ring, comes into the ring and eliminates both men. It may be the ultimate example, as much as we're saying we don't like Kenny King, it may be the ultimate example of a promotion not understanding that this didn't get heat on Kenny King and make him a top heel. This got heat on the promotion themselves.
Yes. People barely wanted Ring of Honor on this show anyway.
Barely is being very generous. People appreciated that Ring of Honor was able to get the license to hold this show in Madison Square Garden. That is the extent of what we wanted their involvement to be. I can tell you for sure we didn't want their involvement to be Kelly Klein defeating Mayu Iwatani for the Ring of Honor Women's World title in the only time I've ever seen Mayu Iwatani wrestle live. Not that I'm still bitter about that.
No, we also didn't need Enzo and Big Cass coming through the crowd.
Well, we almost lost Mike Sempervive. I've never seen a human being more legitimately enraged than Mike was than I seriously thought. Like blood veins were not only popping, they were going to burst, and we were going to need an ambulance.
No, we will review that show in 2029 when it's in the randomizer. Hopefully it'll pull it for us. But,
I would imagine a patron over at patreon.com/wrestling at random, an intentionalizer will choose that show for us like the week it becomes eligible
week
in
it's eligible.
2029.
You're right. One of our patrons over there where you can be the randomizer.
Mike will probably do it. He'll probably bump himself up to that tier.
And then he'll come on the show to talk about it. Yeah.
Mike has special privileges that if he does become an intentionalizer as part of that, he can join the show as a co-host as he has done over on the bonus feed, I believe once or twice.
Yeah, so it's over at the bonus feed, you can be the randomizer. You can choose something for us to watch. We have literally over 200 plus extra episodes of this podcast over on the bonus feed, patreon.com/wrestling at random. Back to this show, this match, Rhett Titus and Kenny King taking on Cedric Alexander and Caprice Coleman. This may be the first time I've seen Caprice Coleman as a wrestler. I don't have any memory of him as a wrestler. Cedric Alexander has always been fine. I enjoyed him in the Cruiserweight Classic in WWE, and he was part of the Hurt business.
He's always been
totally fine.
He is a totally fine modern day replacement level cruiserweight wrestler.
Yep.
And probably better than that if he was in a promotion where he could show off more, if he spent more time in Japan, that sort of thing. I know I had seen
0.5 war. That's what you're
saying. Yes, exactly. I've seen Caprice Coleman a few times, but God, I have not seen a Caprice Coleman match in at least 10 years. So I was interested to see how these two guys would mesh as a team. Kevin Kelly, again, picking his favorites that are always lame, says that All Night Express are the hottest young tag team in Ring of Honor. I have a feeling that if Kevin Kelly was calling modern day Ring of Honor, and we know that wouldn't happen, but and Rhett Titus showed up as enhancement talent as he does when AEW/Ring of Honor is in Philadelphia, he would talk about the upside of Rhett Titus in 2025.
Coleman with a springboard into a terrifying moonsault to the floor. Cedric hits a big dive over the top, wiping everybody out.
Well, this moonsault, it was terrifying and it was wild, but it was also very cool in that, so it was a second rope moonsault. So in theory, in Asai, but his feet were inside of the ring. He was on the ropes, but his feet were on the inside of the ring rather than the outside. So the ability to backflip over the top rope from the second rope inside of the ring that way, and not in the corner, but in the middle of the ropes, is pretty impressive.
In the ring, Coleman and Titus, this was a struggle, and not in a good way. This was awful. Coleman makes the hot tag to Cedric. Cedric runs wild, springboard, and then Cedric gets caught in a spine buster. Titus takes Coleman out with a lariat, and the All Night Express win with their move, the One Night Stand, which is like a doomsday device, into a blockbuster for the pin.
They were, by All Night Express standards, totally fine in this match for the most part, except when they weren't, which you described. But still, there's nothing about them that screamed tag team champions or tag team championship caliber challengers. My takeaway from Caprice Coleman, after really just not seeing him for a long time and not thinking a lot about him, like it immediately rushed back what I thought about him as a wrestler is he can do the really spectacular stuff very well, and all the other stuff he's just not very good at.
No, it was and him and Rhett Titus, that whole sequence was just amateur hour.
Which I would have expected more if it was him and Kenny King, because Kenny King is in a lot of ways very similar to Caprice Coleman in that he's got 3 or 4 or 5 things that he does that look really good, but all the in-between stuff or the little things just looks completely lost. But yeah, that Rhett Titus Caprice Coleman thing was rough.
And we go to now our actual main event, which is going to be a talking segment where Kevin Kelly is in the ring, and he's there to interview the Ring of Honor champion, Kevin Steen, who comes out with your favorite, Jimmy Jacobs.
So, like, I see Kevin Steen come out, I'm like, cool. I always like Kevin Steen.
Love him. Yeah.
Then I see Steve Corino behind him, and it's
one of your actual favorites. That's why I led with your favorite. Well, you thought I was going to say Steve Corino.
One of my all-time favorites, a man that when he won the ECW world title at November to Remember 2000 in suburban Chicago, Illinois. I was sitting in the upper reaches of the Odeum, if you can call it that. I jumped obviously not the ringside guardrail, but the little guardrail in front of our seats, and I ran down to ringside because I was so excited that Steve Corino won. Here, Steve Corino was looking like 1997 Ted DiBiase managing the Steiner brothers, or I guess maybe 96 DiBiase. It's a very weird look for Steve Corino, but they have the zombie princess Jimmy Jacobs with them. Nothing, and I mean nothing, takes me out of a segment of professional wrestling or a match of professional wrestling more than having to see, watch, hear, experience anything involving Jimmy Jacobs.
He, to his credit, was not involved in anything here. He just was standing there for the entire time. So kudos to him for not doing Jimmy Jacobs things to take away from this segment.
Yes.
He stood there and let Steve Corino shine. This was Steve Corino's moment here. He takes the microphone, does the big introduction for Steen. Steen takes the mic, says he's a man of his word. He told you this would happen. And he says the TV execs, they're all getting together. And the Ring of Honor champion is obligated to be there. And he will be there. And he will tell them what they need to hear about Jim Cornette. This brings Cornette out to confront Steen.
Well, we should be clear, it's the Sinclair Broadcasting Affiliates Dinner that whoever the Ring of Honor World Champion is at that time, with Ring of Honor being the crown jewel of Sinclair Broadcasting, the Ring of Honor World Champion will be there. Kevin Steen says, I will be there. I'll be wearing my tuxedo shirt, and I'll tell them everything they need to know about Ring of Honor. Also in this promo, we're reminded that Steve Corino is the pay-per-view color commentator along with Kevin Kelly, but he is not on TV. The story apparently that Kevin Steen is telling her is basically it's gone full circle. When Jim Cornette first came to Ring of Honor, he iced me. I was not getting bookings, and now he has to call me to book the World Heavyweight Champion.
This brings Cornette out, and he comes out to confront Steen. Cornette then fires Steve Corino. And then he tells Corino says he's going to have his lawyers. He tells Cornette to go have his lawyers take a look at that contract because you can't fire him for no reason. And he just says, shut up, Jim.
It was great because Cornette is like apoplectic and firing Corino, and Corino, the character just completely no-sells and is like, nope, you can't. I still have my job. And this just makes Jim Cornette more bug-eyed.
Yeah, Cornette wants to find someone to take this title from Steen. He's making Steen defend the title against, before he makes his announcement, Davey Richards' music hits. He tells Cornette to kiss his ass. He challenges Steen. Steen says he's taken his buddy's title. And he tells Cornette that he's the only tennis player that has no balls. And then Cornette makes the match. He gives them the match, says one chance. Richards and Steen are face-to-face as the show goes off the air.
I know you are a bigger Davey Richards fan than I am. There are times where I really enjoy him, and there are times where I don't. This is not his forte. He is clearly better than Eddie Edwards at doing TV wrestling promos. Yes. But seeing him here doing a promo in the same segment that had Steve Corino, Kevin Steen, and Jim Cornette, it just shines a light on his weaknesses. The problem for me with Davey Richards is like when he's out there yelling and trying to be tough, it reminds me of when you're in grade school and there's that kid that thinks he's tough and he's yelling, I'm going to beat you up. And like, no one takes him seriously and everyone laughs at him while he's trying to be intimidating. That is what Davey Richards feels like to me. He's trying so hard to be that guy. And it just, to me, it goes too far the other direction. And I just don't buy it.
Yeah, it's you mentioned I'm a fan. I'm a fan, but he's this this was not his moment to shine here. Too many good talkers in the ring and just absolutely exposed and can't hang. He cannot hang doing a promo segment. This didn't end in any beatdown or brawl or anything, and so none of the things that he's good at were showcased here in
No,
this segment.
no.
Storming down to the ring, trying to be tough, and then ranting and raving in the ring with a bunch of guys who are elite tier level promos. Not the right moment for Davey.
Well, the show, like, it ends with him, like, Steen is on the apron. Davey's in his face, and he just keeps talking and trying to sound intimidating. But each word that comes out of his mouth and each sentence that comes out of his mouth, it gets less and less effective. And he's almost talking you out of believing that he can beat Kevin Steen, which is the exact opposite of what you're supposed to feel when you're watching this.
No, and you know how the people are going to react to this.
Yes.
Like 100% of the people are going to be behind Steen in this completely, and it's Steve Corino was awesome. Jim Cornette was great in his role. Kevin Steen is always fantastic. Overall, good segment to close the show.
For sure.
Favorite thing on this show for you?
And there's not, honestly, like, there's nothing it feels so much to me like the TV era of Ring of Honor, where nothing is offensively bad, but nothing is blow away great. And the whole appeal of Ring of Honor was awesome wrestlers having blow away great matches, which just doesn't fit into the 1 hour TV Jim Cornette style product. Maybe, honestly, my favorite thing was seeing and hearing Steve Corino in that promo at the end. And all I could think of was, like, how long Steve Corino was affiliated with WWE as, like, a producer, performance center trainer, I believe, at times. And how much I can't believe they never found any on-air job for him, whether it be as, like, a color commentator on NXT or if they were a promotion that did managers. Like, man, that is a guy who sometimes great wrestlers, and I know some people will disagree with this, but I thought Steve Corino was just a great wrestling character by the end in ECW. A lot of times guys like that, it doesn't translate to them being great managers. I may be the first person to ever draw a contrast between Steve Corino and John Tolos, but I always think of John Tolos as the coach. It was like this guy who was a huge star in his era, a great promo, one of the best promos in wrestling in his era. And then they made him a manager in his later years for Kurt Hennig, and it didn't work at all, and they dropped it quickly. I can't fathom Steve Corino not really hitting out of the park in a major promotion if he was given that spot. But we never really got to see it, which makes me sad.
Yeah, it's surprising. Like, it's surprising he never, like, was even the general manager type of figure.
The Adam Pearce type of role. He feels like a guy too that if he wasn't a WWE lifer, he would have been a guy that could have filled a lot of really interesting roles in AEW if that was the direction he had wanted to go.
Worst thing on this show.
The whole package of Tommaso Ciampa's look, maybe. The complete nondescript nature of Mike Mondo as compared to how crazy Kevin Kelly was going for him. But if we are talking in ring, I 100% have to go with what you pointed out, that extremely awkward portion of the main event tag team match with Rhett, Titus, and Caprice Coleman.
Yeah, I agree on all those points. Honorable mention to some of Nigel McGuinness's commentary as well.
Yeah, it's so weird because you're hearing his voice and he sounds like Nigel McGuinness, so you're expecting what you know of Nigel McGuinness as a commentator in current day, and it's just not there at all. Honorable mention for weirdest thing on this show, the throwaway mention that on June 30th, there will be a show where both Bruno Sammartino and Lance Storm will be appearing at an ROH live event. Like, are they teaming? I doubt it, but who knows?
Yeah, I remember this time where like Bruno Sammartino was showing up for like meet and greets at Ring of Honor shows and like doing the introductions for Ring of Honor shows. So when we do this show, we spin the randomizer and it can pull anything. And it can pull a nothing zero TV show, and that's exactly the case here.
This is proof that the randomizer is 100% non-gimmicked, because there is not a terrible show, but there is no reason why out of 60,000 hours of wrestling we would have intentionally said, yes, let's watch this Ring of Honor episode from June 2012.
No, and there's plenty of times the randomizer chooses something for us, and then we review it, and we tell you to go out of your way to watch this thing.
Yes.
And this is not that thing. You can go without ever seeing this, and you miss nothing. So,
yes. To be fair, though, if you are the type of person who tries to watch everything we review, which is mostly possible, but sometimes, particularly in this season where there's things on the dark wrestling web,
private collections,
as I always say, the Silk Road of professional wrestling. You may not be able to watch it, but with this one, if for some reason you did want to watch, you don't even have to have an Honor Club subscription. It's the time we record this. It is available on YouTube on the official Ring of Honor channel.
And with that, we're going to wrap it up and call it a podcast. Make sure that you are following us and interacting with the show on via all the social media channels. You can find us at Wrestle at Random. You can subscribe to the show anywhere where podcasts are found. Make sure you tell your wrestling fan friends about the show. Helps us continue to spread the word. We rely on your word of mouth. Wrestling fans know other wrestling fans, so please keep spreading the word. If you would like to watch the video version of this podcast, that can be found over at our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search for Wrestling at Random Podcast. There you can see the video version. Even if you don't consume your podcast via the video medium, please go there, throw us a like and subscribe. Helps us work the algorithm so that other wrestling fans can find the show that way as well. And don't forget, on Spotify, we have both the audio and video versions available to you if Spotify is your podcatcher of choice. Whatever your podcatcher of choice is, rate, review, all the comments, subscribes. Leave us all the stars. We appreciate it. We read every single one of them. And if you want to support the show and get all those bonus episodes we mentioned, that is available at patreon.com/wrestlingatrandom. For $5 a month, you get over 200 plus episodes in the back catalog there. Don't forget, if you're listening on the free feed, you have 6 seasons of back catalog right now that are all new to you. It's evergreen content, so you can start working your way back and listen to all the episodes that are available to you for free. Even if you can't afford it in these times, we understand. And with that, we're going to wrap it up and call it a podcast. Adam, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Jeremy. I can't in good conscience say thank you, Randomizer. We've watched worse things, but I can't say we've watched less eventful things. This is in the pantheon of just an hour of television shows that we've reviewed.
Thanks again, everyone, for listening. And we'll talk to you again next time.